This is my answer for evaluation question 4, which basically just asks how I have used different forms of media technologies in my coursework. I'm just basically going to go through the different stages of my coursework and talk about the different forms of media used and how it helped me and things like that. So first thing I'm going to talk about is my research and planning. I used a lot of Facebook and Twitter, which are very popular social media sites, to create pages that would talk directly about my product, the finished product that is. And it's what films do nowadays to help keep fans up to date with different news stories related to the film, and also to help promote the film, as nowadays everything's on Facebook and Twitter, and that's how everything gets spread around the world nowadays, through social media and through Facebook and Twitter. YouTube was used a lot in my research and planning, as a lot of my inspirations for shot types and overall pacing of my actual overall product came from things that I viewed on YouTube. So things like the Bronson trailer, which is heavily influenced my actual overall product. I used that trailer from YouTube a lot. So I found that I had that up in a separate tab, and I'd always keep looking at it every now and again just to make sure that I was on the right path, because the themes in that is sort of the themes that I wanted to keep in my actual overall product as well. Other helpful websites such as SurveyMonkey helped me gather more specific feedback that helped during my production stages, which is SurveyMonkey is a very simple and easy website that you can use to just create very simple and basic surveys that you can embed into different things. So I could just easily embed one of my SurveyMonkey surveys into Blogger itself, and then I could just give people a link and then they could just simply fill it in. So I could post the link on Facebook and Twitter, and then people could just respond to it and then go to the actual surveys themselves and then fill in the surveys, and then I'd get a clear idea of what people want. Blog is also very simple and very easy to use, very user friendly as well. So if you want to create a very simple blog, all you have to do is just create an account and you can create a very simple and very basic blog. It's also very accessible for someone who maybe doesn't have a blog and likes to just read up on different things, or wants to view a video on someone's blog. All you have to do is basically say, for example, if I was on Facebook and Twitter and I wanted someone to fill in a survey, all I'd have to do is post a simple link to my blog, and then they could just click on it and go straight there without any worries. You can also embed very simple videos and images and surveys and stuff like that to the actual blog itself, which is very useful. The only real problem I have with Blogger though is, say for example, if you wanted to just create a very simple text post, if you get a sentence that doesn't make sense, it won't tell you about it, or if you maybe spell something wrong, it won't tell you about it as well. So what I ended up doing was I ended up mostly using Microsoft Office to use Microsoft Word, and then I'd just write out my text posts from there, and I'd use Microsoft Word as a filter in order to help me make sense with my actual blog itself, instead of actually just making sentences not seem like they're making sense and stuff like that. So I'd use Microsoft Word in order to help me display most of my text posts. But most of the time though, I'd use a program called Scribd, which just basically lets you update and install your Microsoft Word documents onto the internet itself and puts it in an internet format, so it lets you read it basically off the internet without it actually allowing me to copy and paste it into a blog post, which makes it a hell of a lot easier, obviously. Other than Microsoft Word, I also used Microsoft Excel and Microsoft PowerPoint. I used Microsoft Excel when I was actually creating a rota for myself during time management, so I could be able to try and find time to maybe fill in work if I could, or if I was running late with another lesson, or if I maybe had work for another lesson, I could just work my way around and try and find different times that I could do the work. I use Microsoft PowerPoint to create different PowerPoints for my deconstruction stages of my blog. So say for example I did my magazine cover deconstructions, I used Microsoft PowerPoint to simply put everything in order and then just simply create it. So I could just then use a website called SlideShare, which just basically lets you upload different slideshows onto the actual website and then lets you publish them so you can view them in an internet format. So I could just embed them into my blog, and then you could just view them from the blog itself, which is very useful and very helpful. In the early stages of my blog, I did a blog post called The Pitch, which was just basically a simple presentation that I did in front of our class, talking about my idea for our overall idea of our coursework for this year. And basically the program I used was a program called Prezi. And what Prezi is just a more advanced version of PowerPoint, and it just allows you to experiment with different techniques and allows you to do more things and experiment with a lot more intricate, different, small things that you wouldn't be able to do in PowerPoint. When it came to actually doing my final tasks, I used Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe Photoshop in completing these. I used Adobe Premiere Pro to do my actual trailer itself, and then I actually used Adobe Photoshop to do my auxiliary tasks. I found that since last year I've grown a lot more with Adobe Photoshop than before. Before I could only use simple techniques like masking and stuff, and this is for my music magazine in AS, and I wasn't overly comfortable with using Photoshop. But now, since I've grown a little bit and I've understood like the simple techniques, and now I've learned a little bit more of the advanced techniques, I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable with using it, and I can use it in the future if I need to. And it's just very simple and very easy to use. Something that I didn't think last year, but now that I've obviously grown a bit and I know what I'm doing, I think I'm a lot more comfortable with it, yeah. When it came to using Premiere Pro, I have had experience with using editing software before in the form of Final Cut Pro, but I'd never really touched Premiere Pro before. And it was pretty basic and pretty simple to use. I was very comfortable with the different editing techniques that I had available, and how I could be able to add text onto my actual video and also cut it at certain points and get it right down to the specific time that I wanted to cut it. I found it very simple and very easy to use. So yeah, Premiere Pro is very useful when it came to actually editing my trailer. Another thing that played a factor in my actual post-production stages was SurveyMonkey again. And what SurveyMonkey helped me do as well is just to gather more information from different sources, asking people what they thought of my finished trailer and my finished product. And it sort of helped me get a better understanding of what I did wrong or what I did right, and how that could help me in the future. Another thing that I used in post-production to help me gather feedback for one of my evaluation questions was I used a website called SoundCloud, which allows you to record voice clips and then obviously save them and embed them or whatever it may be. And I used that in one of my evaluation stages, where I recorded my friends after they'd just seen my trailer, and then I asked them if they could give me any feedback or what things that I did well or things that I did bad, and how I could possibly improve on them in the future. And obviously I gave them my response for their products as well. But I found that using SoundCloud was pretty simple and very easy to use, especially if you want to just record simple voice clips of your friends or whatever it may be. When it came to post-production of my actual blog, I used multiple different programs that I didn't use in my actual research and planning of my blog. I used a forums website called Reddit to actually display my actual work and try and gather feedback for one of my evaluation questions. And what Reddit is just a basic forum page that you can see all around the world, and it's quite popular as well. I put my post asking people what they thought about my trailer and to give any feedback. I put that in the actual television production subreddit of Reddit, so I managed to gather a certain response that I wanted, sort of like people who understand the sort of things that need to be in the trailer and stuff like that. So yeah, I was pretty proud of the responses I got as well. Other than Reddit, what I also used was Facebook and Twitter as well to gather information and gather research from different people, which I used in my research and planning, but I used that for a different reason. But now that I've actually got a finished product, so I could get like actual feedback on my actual product, so I can either change it and learn, and obviously learn from my mistakes in the future if I ever do something like this again.